Well, hey there. I don't know what happened to the intro, but I think it ran. How is everybody this morning? Good morning, Grace Tribe. Let me know if you can see and hear me. I was hitting a button while I was trying to turn down volume while the intro was running, and it looked like it froze up for a minute, but then my other screen was running. So I don't know. I don't know what's happening. So I hope that you saw it. Oh, Rob likes the intro music. Yes, it ran good. I do too. I like it. It's very cool. So shout out to my friend Tim who helped me make that happen. Tim's on here occasionally, but I'm not sure he ever says anything. He's hiding in the wings. So anyway, wonderful. Rahul, good morning. God morning to you too. Thank you. The intro is beautiful, Rob says. Nancy, good morning. Crystal, I love it. You know, one of the things I love about this group, I love seeing you guys greet one another. It blesses my heart to know and praying for one another, greeting one another. Good morning, Rich. Howdy, all you Grace folks. Rich says, which I love. So excited to get to be here with you. We are in episode 88, Running at Rest. Y'all forgive me. I am not going to be able to read any of my... I get up in the morning and start running around and generally get by without my glasses. I can write stuff and get stuff done, get stuff set up, but then I sit down to read what I've written and we're in trouble. I had to put on my glasses. Listen, I've got a news flash for all of you guys. You ready for this? Here's a big idea for you. God really is able. God is able. Really, God is able. We say that all of the time, and yet Kelly asked this great question that we all deal with. Good morning, Cody. Great to see you. Kelly Meredith, wonderful friend of mine, asked this great question in our Q&A that we didn't really get to, but it fits with our current little series. We're talking about living local. How do we live like a local when we're not from around here, right? Our citizenship, our life, our culture, our identity with God and with each other, all of that is foreign to the world in which we are living. So how do we represent there well here and live here well with him there and from there? And so we've talked about some wonderful topics in this little mini series that began, I don't know, last Wednesday or Thursday, where we talked about that we're not at home. We're far from home, but we're not alone. We're in it together, and he's with us wherever we go, and he's setting us up wherever we're going. And so that was wonderful. And then we talked about how do we then participate in his activity when we're here, but our life is with him in heaven. And we talked about how we're grace agents, how he uses us in our lives and circumstances here, only to the degree that we're living from our life and circumstance that he's accomplished by grace, who and where we are with Jesus, with the Father in Christ, actually in him. So anyway, we had several of those topics. We took a break for our Q&A yesterday, and today we're continuing that series of how to live like a local, living local when we're not local, right? We are foreigners in a strange land, strangers in a foreign land, foreigners in a strange land. We're pilgrims. We're on a journey. We're far from home, but we are at home where he is in us and we are together. So I wanted to continue that talk today, put the title up again. We're talking, Kelly's great question that she asked was, how do we listen to him when we're bustling through our current circumstances? How do we hear from God in the chaos of living here, right? How do we live from that place of abiding and listening and being attentive to God when we are moving at full pace all the time? Now, I call that, I don't think she used this phrase, but I call that running at rest. We've been called to rest, and yet we're running a race. How do we run at rest? I love, I didn't put this up here, but I love 1 Corinthians chapter 9. I think it's verses 23 to 25, where Paul is writing to Corinthians that, you know, all of the runners run, but not all of them win. So run in a way that you win the prize. And in order to do that, saints, you and I have to keep in mind what is the prize. How can we run in a way to win the prize when we're not mindful of the prize? That's what Paul is saying. He's not saying train more and work harder and do more than anyone else. He's saying be mindful of the prize. What are you doing in your circumstances? So I just want to welcome you all here. If this is your first time here, we've got a couple dozen people that have joined us. Howdy, Grace Tribe. We are the tribe of folks who are living by grace, and I'm glad that you're here with us. I want to start off with a little story as we're getting into this a little bit. I thought this morning of 3 reasons why I'm in the kitchen, though this morning when I was in the kitchen, I thought of another one. But 3 reasons that I'm often in the kitchen, more often than not. If I'm in the kitchen, it's because number 1, I'm just passing through grabbing something. Now, for me, that often means that I'm fixing whatever I messed up. So this morning I went, just a few minutes ago, went to make some coffee, and I've got a little coffee grinder that then pours into my coffee machine. So I picked up it's kind of dark in the kitchen. I wasn't paying very much attention. I was in a hurry to get up here. So I opened up the grinder and I picked up the bag of coffee and I dumped some in there, and it was pre-ground coffee, which is going to gum up the coffee machine. It's like, oh no. So I'm scooping out the coffee and trying to get stuff out of the grinder, and it was a bit of a mess. I'm pulling out paper towels, trying to keep from getting a huge mess going. And I just couldn't help but laugh. I just kept laughing because of course, when you only have 3 minutes because you're about to do a live broadcast for hundreds of people, then that's when you're going to put the wrong grounds in the coffee machine and make a big mess. And then the next person can come along and try to use it and break the machine. And so, of course, that's when stuff is going to, I'm going to mess things up horribly. And so I'm trying to, I wouldn't say I was trying to hurry, but I was in a hurry, right? I'm trying to get that done so I could get up here. It was just a wreck. And anyway, it struck me as pretty comical. And I'll explain kind of why that's even possible here in just a moment instead of panicking. So I'm often just flying by. I'm gonna grab a granola bar. I'm gonna get a drink of water. I'm gonna make a quick cup of coffee. It's just a flyby. That's the first reason, unless I messed something up, and then I'm fixing what I messed up. Number 2, I'm in there because I'm preparing something. I'm making dinner. I'm working on a sauce, a marinade. I like to play with flavors, or maybe if we have guests, then I might be making iced tea or getting something for them. Or so I'm either flying by or I'm making something in the kitchen, right? I'm using the kitchen for the purpose it was designed. And number 3, not only could I just be on a flyby to grab something or actually preparing something for someone else, the reason I am most often in and around the kitchen is because that is where Stacey is. She is in the kitchen. She's making cookies for somebody. She's preparing dinner. She's which I do also, but when she's preparing dinner, I'm usually hanging out at the bar countertop, talking to her, chatting with her. I'll bring my work and sit there while she's working in the kitchen. I'm hanging out working on stuff because it's not like I don't have things to do, but I'm sitting there working on stuff because she's there, and we're chatting over my computer as we're standing around in the kitchen. And so the reason I'm most often there, most of my time spent in the kitchen, is hanging out there because that's where Stacey is. Now, the reason that I mention that is in your circumstances today. Hey, Prem, great to see you. Hi, everyone watching from Nepal, Prem says. I sure miss you guys, Prem. Love you, brother. Thank you for tuning in. Hey, Deborah and Joe, tuning in to our little live broadcast this morning. Wonderful. The reason I mention all of that is because today we tend to teach the story, let's say, of Mary and Martha, or we talk about all of Jesus' activity as if he knew, as if he was planning on meeting the woman at the well, or as if Mary and Martha, as if you can't be busy and be with Jesus. So Mary chose the wiser thing, sitting at Jesus' feet and focusing on him. And Jesus said it won't be taken away from her. And Martha is bustling around the house, trying to get everything done for dinner. And Martha's upset that Mary's not helping. And Jesus saying, Mary's choosing to hang out with me, so it's not going to be taken away from her. And Martha's like, but, something's got to get done. And someone very wisely said Jesus would have been happy with, Ritz crackers. And I would add, because I think it's funny, Cheese Whiz. He's a Cheese Whiz kind of, he'd be fine with the crackers and Cheese Whiz. Why? Because that's not why he's there. Right? He didn't show up at Mary and Martha and Lazarus' house because it was the best meal available. He showed up because he wanted to be with them. Mary chose the wiser thing, not because she's doing nothing, but because she is attentive to Jesus. So here's my question for you guys. As we talk about running at rest and the 3 reasons that I'm hanging out of the kitchen, I want to pull all this together. You ready? What if Jesus, in this scene with Mary and Martha, what if Jesus was on the move? What if Jesus said, I want to prepare food for you guys? What if he said, I'm going to go next door and invite the neighbors for supper? The reason Mary chose the wiser thing is not because she was doing nothing. It's because she was attentive to Jesus. If Jesus was on the move, Mary would have been on the move, and Martha would have missed it entirely. See, that's at issue. That's what's at issue. It wasn't that Martha was busy and Mary chose to not be busy, because it's okay to get stuff done. The problem is, are we missing the point of being there? When I am hanging out with Stacey in the kitchen, my purpose is to hang out with Stacey. I'm having to get stuff done, but I'm trying to, this is my computer here. I'm trying to get stuff done, but my intention of doing it there is to be with her. So there's a big difference between bustling around the kitchen to get stuff done and being in the kitchen because that's where Stacey is. There's a big difference between the person who's sitting at Jesus' feet because that's where Jesus is versus sitting there because they don't want to do anything. There's a big difference between bustling around the house trying to get stuff done, hoping that Jesus will bless you and appreciate you and pay you back and everything is going to be good, versus being on the move because Jesus is on the move. You see, the way that, to Kelly's question, the way that we run at rest, the way that we are attentive to Christ, to his voice, to his leading in the midst of the craziness and chaos of our life and circumstances, the way that happens is because when he's on the move, we're on the move. The difference is we're not on the move because we're trying to be the cause and source of everything that gets done. We're on the move because that's what he's doing. What if he cared more about your kids and your job and your impact and your finances and those you minister to and the messages you prepare? And what if he cared more about those things? What if he cares more about this broadcasting you guys than even I do, so that when the coffee pot blows up, because I blow it up, and so I'm trying to fix my mess thinking I'm going to be late. I only have 90 seconds to hit the play button. What if he cares more about what I feel like I'm running late to than I do? And I could actually trust him. Let me go back to my original statement. God really is able. God is able, really. God is able, really. The reason we can run at rest is because he really does give us rest as we're coming to him instead of running like crazy in every direction. So if he's running, we're running. And if he's resting, then we're resting. But because we're coming to him in everything, we want to know him, as Paul said in Philippians 3. We want to know him in everything. That's our agenda. We're keeping our eyes on the prize in the midst of the race. So the race isn't overwhelming because we know why we're there, as he told the church at Corinth, I was going to say, as he told the First Corinthians, as if there is a First Corinthians, as he told the Corinthians in 1 Corinthians chapter 9. He's saying, run in a way as if you're there to win the prize. And the prize is knowing Jesus more. It's to participate with him. Be in the kitchen because that's where Jesus is. And if he's not there, don't be there. If he's on the move, then you're on the move. Jesus prioritized. Well, let's back up. I want to say Matthew 11:28-30, we don't believe. I just want to challenge you that we don't believe it. It says, as you know, verse 27, going back a verse, it says, all things have committed to be. Jesus speaking, all things have been committed to me by my Father. And I just want to challenge you that when he says all things have been committed to him, that includes your things. Matthew 11:27. We always jump to 28. Come to me, you who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. And he does. But before he says, if you'll come to me, I'll give you rest as a gift. Before that, he says, all things have been committed to me by my Father. And I would just say that has to include your things, or he can't give you rest. All things have been committed to Christ by his Father. They're all his. They're his responsibility. They're his things. All things are his things, and that includes your things. Can you just own that for a minute? All things are his things, and that includes your things. I wish I had written it down. Well, I did kind of write that down. I said, your stuff is his stuff, but do you trust him with your stuff? See, if I trust Jesus with this broadcast, then when the coffee pot blows up because I blow it up, and I have 90 seconds to get up here, I can laugh because I don't know how God's going to do what he's going to do. I don't know how it's going to turn out okay. And maybe it doesn't even turn out okay, but I don't have to convince God to care. And I don't have to be the cause and effect of what only he can do anyway. So I'm laughing at the insanity of it instead of panicking in the impossibility of it. Your things are his things. So you can rest in them because they've been committed to him, not to you. They've been committed to him, not to you. So the question is, do you trust him with your stuff? Your stuff is his stuff, but do you trust him with your stuff? Does that make sense? If you're listening to this right now, then just let me know. Some of you are like frantically writing notes. If this makes sense, let me know. If this resonates with you, because this is hard for me. Everything has been committed to Christ, and I keep trying to take it away from him. I want to be responsible for it and him to bless my efforts instead of me to be available for him and him be responsible for his efforts in and through me. I don't want him to be the cause and effect. I want him to bless me so that I'm a better cause and effect. I want God to improve my sovereignty. Darn it. It's never going to work. It's never going to work. God is never going to bless my own idolatry of my being the cause and effect and source and fix of my circumstances. So if he cares more about you than I do, I can either participate with him in your life, in this broadcast, in this ministry. You can either participate with him in what he's doing in your kids' lives, your church's life, this ministry's life, in my life. You can either participate in what he's doing, or you can try to take things in your own control. And if you try to control them yourself, if you try to cause what you need with your available resources, then you will be a hoarder of your stuff out of fear that you won't have what you need. You will be panicked in every circumstance for fear that you won't get done what is necessary, because the fleshly resources never add up to what only Christ could have ever done in and through you in the first place. The only hope for enjoying life is to trust that what God does with your stuff is better than what you're trying to do for you, for them, for him. Because when Jesus gets up and gets on the move, whatever he's about, whatever he's doing, Mary is with him because she's about Jesus. And Martha is not because she's about getting stuff done. That's the difference in the better thing that Mary has chosen. Okay, so first things first, all things, go back to verse 27, have been committed to Jesus by his Father. All the stuff is his stuff. The question is, do you trust him with your stuff? All things are his things, even your things. Am I less trusting that God knows what he's doing just because I don't know what he's doing? Here, and maybe this is the big takeaway for you today. We haven't even gotten to the rest of the verse. We haven't even gotten to the verse where Jesus is promising to give you rest. We're just stuck on this idea that all things are his things, including your things. And so maybe this is the big takeaway for you and I. Am I less trusting that God knows what he's doing because I don't? You will never have rest if you don't trust that all things are his things, including your things, and that he is perfectly capable of doing the right thing with your things. I think this is true. I think that I am less trusting that God knows what he's doing because, or when, I don't know what he's doing. Can y'all relate to that? But somehow this morning, trying to get to this broadcast, excited to share with you, knowing that God had something for you, some of which I know what he has for you, and some of which I don't. I don't know till I show up and I'm available to him and he does what only he can do. And I get excited about that. And I know that he loves that. He loves participating in our lives together, sharing through us, encouraging through us. That's why people in the thread before we start are telling Walt on YouTube that they're praying for him as he's dealing with stuff, and why we're welcoming each other as folks hop on, and why because we love participating in Christ with one another. It is joy in our hearts. People are getting up earlier than the broadcast to be able to encourage and share and chat with one another before the broadcast starts. Now, if that's not you, that's perfectly fine. But those who are engaging in his life with one another and receiving his life through whatever he wants to share through me, look, let's not take that from them, right? And my being panicked that I'm not going to be able to get done what I need to get done because I blew up the coffee pot and have this mess all around me, I'm actually taking something from what only Christ can do in and through all of us. I don't want to take hold of it. I want to see what he's going to do, and he's going to do it in the midst of my blowing up the coffee pot. That's actually the context of God revealing what only he can do in and through me. So I just stood there cleaning out the coffee pot, laughing, going, I gotta go. This is crazy. This is hilarious. I can't believe I did that. So yeah, a little frustrated with me, but also kind of enjoying the irony that I'm about to come and talk about running at rest, running at a fast pace in God's rest. And I'm blowing up the coffee pot running late to the very broadcast where I'm teaching that. Come on, that is ironic. So Jesus says, come to me. All things have been committed to me, and that includes your things, by my Father. So, verse 28, come to me, all who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. In other words, if you're not spent, then you're not qualified for the gift. There's a qualifying for the gift, and it is that you are beyond your fleshly resources for what the circumstances require. Isn't that great? Isn't that great? The only qualifier to coming to him for the free gift of rest is being beyond the sufficiency of your own resources in the flesh. Bam! I'm qualified. I blew up the coffee pot. I'm qualified this morning. So as I'm coming to you, don't take this wrong, but I'm not coming to you. I'm coming to him. And in the very midst of my being with you, he gets to be my rest. And so I'm okay blowing up the coffee pot. Isn't that great? Doesn't mean that I wasn't stupid. I was stupid. I did something very stupid. I poured the grounds instead of the whole beans into the coffee grinder and blew it up. But you know what? Whatever. He's got to take care of what only he can take care of, which is everything. I saw someone, a very well-known, like world famous pastor the other day, posted something online about, you do what God gives you to do and trust him to do the rest, and he'll take care of it. And so I shared on there my little voice in the midst of, this huge platform this guy has. Probably no one ever saw it, but I posted on there. Totally agree with that. So long as you realize that what you can do versus what he can do is you're nothing to his everything. So I do what I can do, which is nothing. And Jesus does, what I can't do, which is everything. And he'll accomplish what I can't. So what he said was true. If you'll do what you can do and trust God to do what only he can do, then everything will work out. I totally agree with that, so long as you realize that what you can do is nothing apart from him, and what he can do in and through you is everything. Then the power of the life in the vine becomes a reality, that apart from him, I can do nothing, but he can do all things and produce the fruit that I get to bear. It never tells me to be the producer of the fruit. I only get to be the bearer of the fruit in John 15. So when I realize that my doing my part is letting him do everything, then you got it. Then he can produce the fruit and I get to bear it and go, look at how great God is. And that, my friends, is how you and I are even on this call today, because God can do everything and I can do nothing. Everything's been committed into his hands, so I can come to him and rest. And coming to you this morning live in this broadcast is not me coming to you to share something awesome. It's coming to him to be attentive to him and to rest. I can rest because it's been committed to him. Are you with me? Is this making sense? The carpool, getting your kids to school, the job and the deadline and the work and the Everything that I don't care if you're doing heart surgery today, go to Christ, who in the midst of what only he can do in and through you will give you rest. Jesus told the disciples when they came back to the well in Samaria, where he was ministering to the woman, and she realized how loved she was, even though she realized how known she was. She was so known and yet still loved. It rocked her world. Could this be the Messiah? That she ran to the people she was avoiding, and she left the bucket for the water she thought she needed. Her entire world totally flipped the lid completely. And as the crowd's coming out, they're like, Rabbi, eat. And he's like, though I couldn't even walk into the town, I was so tired and hungry and thirsty, and I asked her for water. In the midst of that, I am fueled by food. Tried to say food and fuel together. I'm fueled by food you know not of. It is doing the work of my Father. He is fleshly spent, in his humanity, but he is divinely empowered in his spiritual union with God. And I'm sure he was even more spent after they ministered to the crowd. But God can afford what he spends through us as we have rest in participating with him. He cares more about you than you can imagine, and he cares more about everything that he is giving you to participate with him in than you can imagine. So if all things have been committed to him, including your things, you get to walk into every situation, not going to get her done, but going to him for rest. Ironically, when he is on the move, you can be on the move with him, but you're there to be attentive to him. Keep your eye on the prize. Run in a way that you would win. Train in a way to win the prize. Let's become practiced at coming to Jesus, not going to do everything in the world for him. I hope this is making sense. Listen, you aren't absent from God's activity when he is giving you rest. You're just not the cause of the activity. You are showing up available for what only he can do in and through you. This is the life of worship of Romans 12. I'm trying to bring a lot of things together because these are not isolated ideas. We are available to him in all things so he can give us rest in all things, and he can accomplish what he desires through us in all things. That doesn't mean that we're lazy. That means that we're in the kitchen while he's doing the work. That means that we're okay with him having to accomplish what we can't when we blow up the coffee pot. It means that we're available as a spiritual sacrifice to him, or giving our bodies as a living sacrifice to him so that he can do what he wants in and through us instead of us trying to serve him for what we want from him. God has committed all things to Christ, including your things. So everywhere you go, everything that you have to do, everything that I'm trying to make happen, I can let go of. I can come to Jesus in this broadcast and he can give me rest instead of me coming to you to get done what I want done, to get what I need, and you to get what you need, instead of us rubbing, two things together, hoping to make five. Look, he is going to do what he wants to do, so I get to participate, be in the kitchen, and rest. You're not absent from the activity. You're just not the source of it. Let him be the producer and let you be the conduit of what only he can do, and the life that only he can put on display, and what only he can produce for you to bear. You get to show up and bear the fruit that he produces. So people look at you and go, what love, what wisdom, what power. And you go, but God, but God, but God. I'm just bearing what only he can produce in and through me. I'm at rest. The branch is not striving to experience the life of the vine through it. The branch is not striving to enjoy the fruit of the vine through it. We just hold it up. Look at God producing this love, this life, this wisdom, this power, this insight, this energy through me. Jesus said, I have food you know not of. It is to do the will of my Father and your Father too. It really is knowing him as he takes responsibility for our life, right? All things committed to him and produces through you. You know what? We're going to stop there. I am going to go on tomorrow and we're going to talk about verses 29 and 30 because we're about half done. We're about half done. Jesus is going to talk about his yoke, and most people don't understand what his yoke is. And people are going to talk about his burden. He doesn't say there is no burden. He just has something to say about his burden. The problem is we can never take on his burden because we're already overburdened with our own burden until we realize that all things have been committed to him, including your things. I will ask you the question of the day, though. Here you go. Where are you coming to him today instead of where are you going to go and just try to get done something for him? And then that second part will really apply tomorrow. So just think about your agenda today. Look at your calendar today. Look at your kids' calendars today. Look at your activities today. What if everything on your calendar was an opportunity for you to show up with God in his activity in and through you, because all things have been committed to him, including your things. So you get to show up and rest through what only he can produce, and he will use you to do it. We vacate the work. That's what the word rest means. We vacate, and he occupies, and he uses us as his instrument in the work that only he can do in and through you today. So you go to him in every circumstance. Be coming to him in everything. He's gone before you, and he's hosting you into the next venue, setting you up for what only he can do through you. Then he comes with you and walks to the work with you, and then he does the work through you to praise of the glory of his grace instead of the praise of the glory of your effort. You get to rest as he does the work. That doesn't mean you're absent from the activity. Trust him with your stuff and watch him produce through you. Be like me by God's grace this morning and laugh through the calamity. You got to take care of it, but you don't have to be the one who makes it all work. Walk with him and let his life be your life in and through you today. Love you guys. Let me just close as I always do. My goal for you would be that in all things today, you would know him more. You would grow in his grace as you depend upon him, and you would go love one another like crazy, like only he can in and through you. Until tomorrow, or if the Lord comes sooner, I will see you again soon. Love you guys.